David.
So let's start in the NFL. Let's start with the NFC least. I'm sorry. It is now the NFC beast. Giants are 4-1, Cowboys 4-1, Eagles 5-0. Won't even talk about the Commanders here. Let's talk about those Giants though real quick because they went out in London and beat the Green Bay Packers. No one expected them to beat them. And now Brian Daboll is being talked about as NFL Coach of the Year. Your thoughts on the 4-1 start for the Giants, fellas?
I think it's fun. I'm not ready to say that it'll continue.
He's too close to the wood chipper.
They play hard. It's a guy who clearly, not only do the players like him and care about him, he's making the right calls. He had the big call in Tennessee, rallying going to his defense, asking, hey, I'm going for 2 if we score. Do I have your buy-in on this? Like, he's doing...
You mean it wasn't already just, we're just going to go for 2 every time?
Right.
Okay.
He's just made the right moves. The Giants have been ravaged by injury. I'm just reticent to buy in based on the fact this offense is, in fact, bad. But, yes, it's fun, and I'm into the month of October, and I don't know. Like I said, this is the whole thing to Lion fans. Don't tell me it takes years. Don't tell me it's okay to be 1-4.
Yeah, what you're seeing is players who want to play for a coach and actually going out and winning games. It's one thing to say, oh, we love our guy, but you're losing, so he won't stick around. But you play hard. David, they're literally doing this thing by any means necessary. I mean, the last game they had, no quarterback. Saquon's out there running the Wildcat.
Top receivers, Sterling Shepard out for the year. Kenny Golladay dead. And Kadarius Toney didn't get on the plane to London.
Yeah, this is guys, let's just find a way to get it done. And they're getting it done. I love watching the coach dance in the locker room with them.
Yeah. So, and again, look, maybe it all comes crashing down, but for whatever it's worth, Ravens only favored by 4.
Until
over the
it
Giants
crashes down, let it crash down.
All
right now, enjoy the ride.
All right, we'll see you Sunday. Go ahead, David.
And so the 2 teams that will face each other on Sunday Night Football, I believe it is, on this week, Cowboys 4-1, Eagles 5-0. Jalen Hurts apologized to his team for his performance, even though they won. But let's focus on the Cowboys because on Wednesday, they will see how well Dak can throw the ball coming off his injury.
Yeah.
But my question to both of you is, should they just let it keep rolling
Correct.
and not play him in a big game?
I would take my time because one or both of these things is going to happen. A, Cooper Rush will expose himself as not being as good as he's played, right? And B, Dak is going to make it clearly obvious he is the superior quarterback every day in the facility. So just let it roll. Yeah. I wouldn't rock the boat here.
Yeah, sometimes, when you got the hot hand, you just ride it. And
right.
That's Cooper Rush right now.
And the reality is, it doesn't matter who plays quarterback. You're probably not beating the Eagles. Not in Philly.
I don't know, man. Once again, I always say you can never account for hate.
Okay.
Hate makes you do a lot of crazy things. I mean, look at the Raiders and the Chiefs.
I just think look, when you look at the Cowboys, week 1, they threw it 74% of the time. Week 2, it was 51-49 split. And this past, weeks 2, 3, and 4, it was basically 50-50. This past week, 65% run. They're morphing back into what they were when Dak was younger, and the team was actually really good. I worry that Dak comes back and they start slinging it all over the yard again. That's not who they are. Run the ball, play defense. Special teams are outstanding.
Well, see, here's the other thing. I wouldn't rush Dak back because if you do win, you're going to need him for the playoff push later on.
Right.
So you're buying him time and weeks.
Right.
Just keep this thing going. I don't know when their bye week is, but bring him back in a few weeks and let him really get healthy because I got a feeling this is a lot of Jerry Jones. I want my guy back out there, and you may be doing it prematurely.
So, Rico, I want you to comment on this one because earlier in the show, you said that you would do what Davante Adams did. Let's talk about Davante Adams for a second. The Raiders lose the game. He's leaving the field. He pushes a cameraman. Now Adams is facing discipline from the NFL possibly, and the cameraman is now suing Davante Adams. Yeah. You have to let cooler heads prevail. Why are you shoving a cameraman?
Yeah, I guess the cameraman, I don't even know. He wasn't like he was following him.
He was going to do something else.
He was just there. I think it's the equivalent of, unfortunately, you look at the camera people as the chair or the table, and you just kick it and knock it over. And then he realized that's a person, not an inanimate object. Yeah, this is a dumb screw-up that's going to last a lot longer. If I'm Adams, This is when you say, I'm not going to make a one-day story into a two-day story. Find this guy, write him a check. I'm sorry. Should have never happened. Let's just both move on.
Because he did publicly apologize, but
Right.
you're right. You got to do something personal.
You know what?
Yeah.
Hey, man, here's a check for 10 grand. I never should have put you in that spot. I never should have touched you. I'm sorry. You and your family go on a nice vacation on me. There you go.
Speaking of a check for 10 grand, let's talk about Matt Rule for a second. He was fired yesterday, so let's talk about what's next for him.
Nothing.
We have all these jobs open up in college football. You got Nebraska, Georgia Tech, Wisconsin.
No. You sit at home and collect the
Collect the check.
$30 million the same way Tom Herman is right now in college. The Panthers owe him so much money. Why would I work and make less? That's what's next for Matt Rule. Disappear, come back with a huge beard. Why would you work right now?
Because you want to stay relevant.
He was never relevant. He's Matt Rule.
Okay, you're just being mean right now.
Okay.
Okay? Sometimes coaches reach too far. I thought Urban Meyer reached too far going to the NFL. Nick Saban couldn't make it in the NFL. He can come back down to college. David, here's what I think he's going to do. It's going to be both. He's going to collect his checks, and he's going to go and become an analyst somewhere and make 50 grand a year. And you're thinking, why only 50 grand a year? Because he's going to be making all of that money from the Panthers, but he needs to keep his name out there. Because it's like certain industries, once you go away, you're forgotten about, and that next new person comes in. So he probably ends up at Alabama working for Saban as an offensive or defensive analyst and just helping out. And then when he's ready to go back into the mix, you know what? You saw what he did here. You saw what he did there. He can go back in. But if you go and sit and do nothing, you get forgotten about.
So I'm glad you mentioned Alabama because I want to talk about this news from today. Now, it is a home-and-home series they schedule with Minnesota in 32 and in 33.
Nick Saban could be dead.
He could be, but they do have a lot of home-and-homes coming up to the north. Wisconsin, they have one 24 and 25.
Show
then
me.
Ohio State, then Notre Dame. I get
David,
it. Show me. But
go ahead.
is scheduling actually going to get better if Bama's doing this?
No.
Everyone else has to follow.
David, let me put this in perspective, okay? It's when? 20.
This one is 2032 and 2033.
Do you know where the starting quarterback for those two teams are right now?
They are probably not born.
They're in second grade. Okay? Now, how excited are you for that game now? Your starting quarterback is either in second or third grade right now. They just want to go out and play kickball at recess. Okay?
Did these colleges not learn anything from COVID?
They didn't.
Meaning they could schedule immediately.
They can, but then it's like, well, we have all of these easier games right now. I think you're going to see a change once we officially have the 12-team playoff. Because either teams will realize we can go ahead, you may have a 3-loss team in the playoffs, or it's going to get even worse, and you're just going to find every low-level team you can find to pad your stats so that you can say we're 11-0 or we're 12-0 or 11-1. But this is a joke because here's what's going to happen. Alabama's going to say, fine, come to us, but we're not going to come up to you, Minnesota. Play us at a neutral site or we'll buy you out.
Isn't that what they did to State?
That's exactly what they did to State. But yes, you're starting QB in second grade.
So let's close it out with this here because I thought this guy was going to be gone for good. Sean Payton left, and I thought the experiment with Taysom Hill was going to be over. But this guy on Sunday threw a 22-yard touchdown, led them in rushing with 112, punched it in 3 other times.
He was great.
I thought the experiment was going to end, though.
No, they needed him. No, David, they need him.
They used him in the week before in London.
Yeah, and the offense just isn't good right now. Kamara's been banged up. Michael Thomas has been banged up. The quarterbacks have been rotating. There's an element of Taysom Hill where, look, if you watch some of the Seattle game, he's powerful. I mean, some of these running plays, they got no shot of stopping this dude within 3-4 yards. And he can present a little bit of a throwing option. He's a gadget player. I don't have to love it. I'm just telling you, when your offense is broken, I can't complain about trying different things.
So long as he's not their main guy, right? It's like I said, watching Saquon run the Wildcat. It happens every now and then. Fine. It's Debo on a jet sweep. Okay, fine. I can live with it. Don't tell me he's this great superstar, though. That I'm going to fight you.
And that is in football today.